Forward thinking.
This is Six Figure Mindset. This is a show that showcases top black and brown talent in the corporate world.
Hi everyone, my name is Chole Ogunleye and I'm a financial services consultant.
Fantastic. Welcome on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So, what do you do today?
What do I do today? I am a consultant at a global bank, working within commercial banking. I sort of help them, can I say this, sort out problems that they have within internally and with their customers. So working on their reputation, on their products, that sort of thing.
Exciting. So how long have you been doing that?
6.5 years.
Now, I know I'm not allowed to say this normally, but for the show, could you reveal your age?
31.
Excellent. This will make sense soon, guys. So you're in a fantastic role now. Obviously, you're doing really well. So how did you get here? So what area did you grow up in?
Grew up originally in Swiss Cottage.
Sorry, is that cheese? You said Swiss Cottage. What's that?
Oh,
Sorry,
no.
Where's that?
Swiss Cottage is in northwest London, so yeah,
Right.
cute little area.
Cute. For Google it, guys. You'll know what Swiss Cottage is about. Okay, great. So Swiss Cottage.
Yeah.
You grew up in a nice area, nice neighbourhoods.
Very
Fantastic. Nice. And how was school? Did you go public school, private school?
So while I was there, I was there until I was 15 or 16. So my primary school was mixed and it was a public school. And then secondary school, I moved to a girls-only independent school. So, yeah, pretty big difference between the two.
What do you mean? What was the difference?
Firstly, first and foremost, my primary school was really multicultural. People from completely different backgrounds. Had people that were like American, people that were British, people that were literally from all over. And then I moved to my secondary school and I was one of 3 black girls.
Wow.
Yeah, from year 7 to 13. So
Cultural shock.
major, yeah.
But was your school in your area or did you have to go outside?
No, so my school was maybe 15, 20 minutes away, but it was in a completely different area. So it was in Highgate.
Right.
So new demographic. Yeah, very different.
So how did that affect Chloe in terms of going for this multicultural environment? Obviously, Swiss Cottage is a multicultural area anyway.
Yeah.
And to now just being in school every day and just feeling like, or being able to count how many people look like you, how did that feel?
It was interesting because actually the bit I missed out is I actually used to live in Nigeria for, I think until I was 4 or 5.
How interesting that you missed out that fact. Let's go back. I'm joking.
So going from that to coming to London, obviously it's multicultural, it's fun, whatever. You at least see people that look like you. And then going to a school where you're one of 3, it was just, to be fair, like I had a fantastic experience in school. I don't have any like negative, well, nothing really when it comes to the people. No experiences that kind of made me think badly about it. I loved my school. But you just, there's nothing you can do. You just realize you're different. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I'm trying to think, I mean, people asked some questions, but I think if anything, it was more trying to understand. So I can't really call it racism or anything. I didn't experience anything like that. So that was great. I think that what it's done for me, it means that when I'm looking into spaces or things that I want to get into, race just isn't a factor. If I don't see someone that looks like me, I'm not put off. Whereas I know for some other people, it would be a bit of an issue.
Interesting. No, that makes sense. And in terms of school education-wise, how did you do secondary school? Good GCSEs?
Pretty good, yeah.
Fantastic. So A-levels, where did you go to college? Same school? Or?
Yeah, I did. I stayed there.
And how did A-levels go?
So GCSEs I got 6 A's and 3 A stars, so pretty good. Walked into A-level thinking I was going to study architecture. That's what I thought. I loved maths, I loved art. Going to combine the two, I'm going to be really happy. So I studied maths, further maths, physics, and art. And then AS physics was crazy. I managed to scrape a B and I was like, we're going to call it a day here because I don't know where it's going to go from here. And then I was carrying on with maths, further maths, and art. And I got to the end of 6th form and I got ABC. I didn't get into my uni. And yeah, went from like the summer of being 18, and I remember I went away, I came back, got my results, and was like, I'm not going to uni. What is going to happen? End of, yeah, end of life as I know it. And yeah, that was devastating. I think that's the first time in my life I realized my parents can't help me. And so after a few days of being like, what am I going to do? I went to another private college, and I had like a conversation with the headmaster. I'm saying I want to, come here for a year, redo some modules in the further maths. That's where I got the C. And yeah, like in the next year, and then go to uni the year after. And he was great. He was like, well, while you're here, why don't you just take up another A level and do it in a year? So yeah, I took up economics. I came out of that next year with 2 A's and 2 B's. So,
Fantastic. So you pulled it back.
yeah, I did.
Even though some people be clapping for an ABC, you know, but no.
I know.
But for you, obviously, there's standards.
And also, I really wanted to go to a uni in London, and
Okay.
yeah, the grades were pretty high. So
now you finish your additional year,
yeah,
straight into uni
yes, straight into uni.
of choice, your uni of choice.
Yeah, so I decided I wanted to study maths because I
Why?
realised that
Why? Obviously, not being no sexism, but why would a lady want to study maths? Just because you don't want to be a professor, I assume.
I definitely did not want to be a professor. No.
So why maths?
I always knew that I liked solving problems, so I'd always liked maths. I was in bottom set in year 7, and I somehow got into top set by GCSE. So I studied maths and further maths for A level. I loved the challenge, loved solving problems. So it was like, I remember also in my secondary school going to a talk. I think they started taking us around universities for during A levels, and there was a massive talk they did at UCR, I remember, and it was about maths and how maths is used in coding, it's used in gaming, it's used in all these different things. And I realised, I could go into loads of different things. Let me just study maths if architecture doesn't work out. And it didn't, so.
That's really interesting, because I know most people, when I'm thinking about back in my day, though I'm not that old, I don't remember ever having a tour of other universities. We just had the prospectus. But yeah, so that's interesting that they actually took you to, or you had that exposure. Because I guess that's what frees your mind to know that what the art of the possible is.
Exactly.
Because I feel like we just went into courses kind of blindly. So yeah, that's really good. So, okay, so you go into university of choice. Obviously, you smash it, right? So university is cool.
No.
Okay, cool. So
No.
what happened?
No way. So first term of first year was pretty much further maths. The whole 2 years in one term. I'd done further maths, so I was really bored. So I think some people hadn't done further maths, so it was kind of getting everyone up to speed, up to the same sort of understanding. Had the January exam, passed it really well, then got like first, really happy, cool. And then everything went downhill. I don't know, I just wouldn't even like leave my bed. I found it really difficult I'd go to lectures and just be like, what am I doing here? I just didn't know what I wanted to do with it. And I think at that point I started to realize if I don't have a goal in mind, I find it really difficult, even till today, staying motivated. And at that time, I guess this was my first bout of dealing with this. I didn't really speak to my parents about it or anything, so I didn't attend very much. I attended as much as I could, but really not enough. And came to final exams and I failed.
First year?
Yeah.
So great first semester, then it went downhill.
Yeah.
So what do you think it was? What changed? Is it just that you didn't have a clear goal of what university was, or was you didn't know what to do, what you was going to do after?
Yeah, I just didn't know what I was going to do with it. I was, as you said, it's not widely studied maths. So think about it. It's full of a lot of Asians.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking with my course mates, and they're like, I want to be an accountant. I want to go into investment banking. I want to go into asset management or whatever it may be. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't want to do that. I don't see myself wearing, a suit and going to work. That's just not me. Remember, yes, I'm very analytical, but I've also got this like artistic side of myself, or really, I should say, creative. And these spaces are not creative. So, I've been to the career service, I've tried, and what they're sort of suggesting to me it's not sparking joy. So I think from there, I just really struggled with what I was going to do afterwards, and that just affected my motivation and my grades. So very sad, lonely
And how
time.
did second year go?
So second year, I had to redo that second term. Passed, praise God. Then the second year, I obviously made an effort, after learning that I almost could have got kicked out of uni. So I made this effort, got to the end of second year, and still failed some modules, so I had to retake in summer, but got into third year. I have to add, for added context, that the week that our results came out was always my week of my birthday. That first week in July. Anxiety through the roof. I can sleep anywhere, right? That week I wasn't sleeping. And yeah, it was just a crazy experience. And yeah, and obviously I'm the firstborn as well, so I've got that added pressure of like, my parents must be thinking, what is wrong with this girl? What's going on? So, but yeah, got into third year, was like, picked my modules, and got to the end, worked really hard, got a tutor, everything. I failed.
Miserably or just partially?
I failed, like, I didn't fail everything. I failed some, but
Okay.
enough to have to, like, you're not passing.
Yeah.
So retook again in summer, failed still. At this point, I'm like, I'm going to have to take another year to do my exam. And if I don't pass, I'm going to fail uni, right?
Yeah.
So I gave up. Like, I was like, you know what? I can't do this. So I had already been working part-time during uni. I think it started my second year. So the year I was taking the second half of the first year again, I was working part-time in luxury fashion. So I'd been doing that the whole time. They were really accommodating with the fact that I still went to uni. I worked 2 days a week. And so at that time, when I realized, you're going to have to go again, this is obviously my 5th year in uni.
5 years
Yeah.
for a 3-year degree.
Make it make sense.
Wow. And you have...
For something that you still don't know what you're going to do with. Right. How old was I at this point? 22, 23. So then I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm just going to work more hours. And I remember my mum being like to me, wow, what are you doing? Don't you think you should be revising? I was like, listen, I can't come and kill myself. I'm trying the best that I can. I've got a tutor. What else can I do? I need something that's going to make me happy and keep me motivated. So I was working part-time in that store. And then I started seeing this trend of people coming. I worked in a really sought-after store.
Mm-hmm.
People really wanted a couple of products. And literally the doors would open of the department store. They would run to our concession and, be asking about this bag or this jewelry or whatever it was. And we had a quota. Couldn't say it obviously to them, but we have a certain number we can sell a day. So if you come first thing in the morning, yeah, you're highly likely you're going to get it if we have it in stock. But then, of course, you're seeing people come in maybe at, midday, waltz in. Oh, do you have this thing? Yes, but I can't sell it to you. If you come tomorrow morning, maybe you can get it. Or you see people that have traveled and they really hope on this journey they can get this item and they can't. And as I love to solve problems, so I'm thinking, oh, this is so unfortunate, because I can't tell you what can I do to try and solve this problem. So I have reached out to a few luxury lifestyle companies and concierges and things like that, and said, oh, I'm sure you have a lot of requests for this brand, let's say. Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, of course. It's like, I work there. I'd be really happy to sort of like help you guys if you ever need you can sort of partner together and work there. And I think they just didn't understand, because I even applied like an intern role. I think maybe there was a conflict of interest. So I don't know what they thought I was trying to do. I'm just here trying to, help. So applied to even a few personal shopping companies, rejected. It's like, okay, well, so if I got Instagram, I'm going to come to work every day and I'm going to take pictures of all the things in my brand, but also just around the entire store that I know are cool, that I think are cool, so people will know at least what's available. And very quickly I started getting messages asking, can you buy this for me? Like, what? This is not what it was meant to be. But I mean, I'm
Wow.
a really transparent person, and I think that flows through into everything that I do. So I said, okay, cool. I knew how these other, because I worked at a brand, I know how personal shopping works at that time, especially. People would buy things and just resell them at a different rate, and brands generally didn't like that because they want their customer details for like CRM stuff.
Yeah.
And so I understand that part, but I also understand the client because you want your item, but you also want to know that if anything goes wrong, you can maybe go back to the brand. You want to know it's genuine and authentic. So I decided that I'd buy things for people, have a set percentage that I charged for my services. If, so far as the customer was happy, I'd buy it in their name, send them their receipt, and they would just pay for the shipping also, alongside my fee and the cost of the item. And that meant that if they had any issues further on down the line, they needed after sales care, whatever it may be, they're able to contact that store and everything's in their name, and I'm removed from it. And it works really well. I was shopping worldwide for people. People from all kinds of places, sort of developing relationships with them, shopping for them, and also going abroad and shopping. So that was, obviously for me, it was great.
So 1 second. So you did all of this whilst avoiding finishing university, working part-time.
Yeah.
But you worked more hours.
Yeah.
And obviously you was in a state of not really knowing what you wanted to do with your life, kind
Yeah.
of. But for some reason, you just decided to
I was going to do what made me happy.
And it made you happy. It made you money.
Yeah, sure did.
Excellent.
Bought me
Wow.
a lot of
So it's a
things,
big
yeah.
turnaround then from the Chloe in year 2 of university, the struggles,
Yeah.
and then just picking it up. But then do you feel like it was like, once you got the response and the DMs, it was like, okay, you now responded to how it made you feel as opposed to the actual, oh, it's a business, I'm going to make money? Was it more about, oh, wow, people are actually...
For me, it was always about the service. I was seeing a problem and I was just trying to solve it. The fact that it made me money was great, but if I'm being honest, I didn't go into it for the money. I went into it. I love fashion, so I understand these people's pain point. I was just trying to solve their problem. But I mean, gonna make me money, buy me my things that I like. Well,
wow. So how long did you do that before you went back to uni? Did you finish?
so I still was at uni, but it's just that first half. I don't think I had very many. I decided not to go back to lectures. This is what my mum and I were like contesting about. My parents and I really, but my mum specifically. She was like, let's just pay for the whole year again. Go back to the lectures. I'm thinking, I went to the lectures this time. I don't want to go again. So I'm just going to get a tutor and keep going through. I have all the notes. I've been to all the lectures. I have everything that I need. So let me just go through it myself, go through it with this tutor, and let me do my shopping on the side. Eventually, they agreed, and so I did that. So then by the time it came to doing the exams again, because they were only in that summer period of exams, I did them, and then I got my results, and I passed.
Fantastic.
Definitely not with a great grade, but the tears that I cried, the tears of joy of like, okay, these 5 years were not for nothing. Yeah, I was happy.
Wow. So it's a big weight off your shoulders, but this small business is still going on in the background.
Definitely still going. Yeah.
So what do you do next? You've now graduated. You've got the piece of paper. You've had the family have patted you on the back. I thought that's done well. What's next? What happens next? How do you decide on a career path?
So, of course, I was aware that I'm going to have to get a job. And I was applying, but at the same time, I knew that investment banking is not for me. I'm not going to sit at a desk, looking at charts all day or researching stock. It's just not for me. I don't have the temperament for it. I think it's really important to know yourself because, that was never going to work. So while I was still trying to figure things out, I am applying for grad roles that have like rotations in different areas. So maybe I could have more exposure to something and figure out if that's something I might enjoy. And this is actually such a full circle moment for me, actually, because I just remember doing those applications and knowing that I wasn't going to love this, but I had to do it anyway. But while I'm doing that, of course, I'm just doing my business thing on the side, and that's booming. And so I'm really happy. And then I remember one day being in my parents' room, my mum was like, Chloe, when are you going to get a real job? I was like, I mean, I'm not asking you for money, taking care of myself. What's the problem? But listen, I've got African parents, you know, this thing is important to them. And at the time, I didn't know any better. So I'm like, okay, time to really jump into looking for a role. And then, as luck would have it, someone reached out to me, like a family friend, and sort of said that they were hiring grads at the bank he was at. So, you know,
So you went into investment banking even though you despised it before.
well, not investment banking, banking. So yeah, commercial banking. But yeah, I did. Um,
So you applied, you got the grad role,
I got the grad role.
and how long were you there for?
So it was meant to be, it was actually a contract. So for me, I'm thinking this experience is all good. The sad bit about this is I knew that I was working 8 till 6. There's no way this fashion thing was going to work. So I had to put a stop to it. So, but you know, this is a new chapter. I'm older, you know, I'm nearing like 25 now. I need to get my life in order. So take the role, meant to be 6 months in the beginning, the end of the 6 months, I think they took on maybe 30 grads. Of the 30, I think there was another project that was about to start, and they were looking for, I think, 4 more grads. They had hired a few, but they needed 4. So they interviewed a few of us, and out of us, I was one of the 4 that was selected. So I moved on to the other project where I was there for, I think, another maybe year and a half.
But you was initially there for just 6 months. Cool.
There for another year and a half, and then we sort of rolled into a like much bigger program, and so I sort of took on this consultant role, which is where I've been since then.
So you've been there 6 years from a 6-year,
6
6-month
Yeah.
contract.
Yes.
So being in this new role, well, being where you are now, seeing the journey, ups and downs, what would you say what was your thought process now working? Obviously now you're now in kind of the corporate space. Was you thinking about climbing the corporate ladder? Because obviously you're still consulting, right? So you're not actually an employee with benefits. So what's in your mind in terms of what you're supposed to be doing? Like, do you start a new side business, or are you trying to do new courses to upskill? What's in your mind?
So the whole time I have been at this bank, I have always felt the need to sort of feed my creative side. So I've done a few like short courses, and at the same time, trying to figure out if I'm going to remain in this corporate world, where exactly I would want to be. So I had a stab a few times at doing the CFA, so the Chartered Financial Analyst certification. And although I found it really interesting, it just confirmed once again that the majority of finance isn't for me. I sort of figured out that I might enjoy sort of like private equity or venture capital, that sort of space. It's more business related. But the majority of it, I mean, it was just as I thought, a whole lot of like number crunching, and that wasn't going to be me day to day. So always been trying to figure out what my next step is. And then, yeah, I sort of stumbled across that asset class, and I thought, oh, okay, private equity looks really interesting, like investing in companies. I mean, not like the stocks, but actually in the company. So that could be quite cool, researching different industries and things like that. So I decided that I was gonna try and move into it. Spoke to a few recruiters, and they were explaining, listen, there are only a few routes into this. You could do the CFA, you could become a chartered accountant, or do an MBA. So I went away and looking at my options, that accounting thing is not going to happen. So there's the CFA. I tried that a few times, didn't quite work. And listen, anyone who's passed it, massive respect to you, because those 300 hours are not a joke.
Oh, study?
Yeah, it's a 6-hour exam.
What?
Yeah, it's a 6-hour exam. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. Yeah, I am actually still committed to completing it one day, but yeah.
It's on the bucket list.
Yes, it is. It sure is. Still is there. So I have then decided that, okay, let's look into this private equity thing. Then I'm looking at, okay, I obviously don't have the experience. I cannot move into it yet. What can I do? And I'm looking at, you kind of need to know like financial analysis and valuations and things like that. So I started looking, Googling, Google is your best friend, guys. What can I do to sort of get these skills? I don't have the practical experience, but maybe there's some course that I can do that will teach me this. And I found one called the FMVA. I think it was $500 or something like that, and it was an online course. So I started it late 2019. It was an online course, really motivated in the beginning, and then life just happened. It's difficult to like self-study at home. You've got other things you're doing. And then, of course, 2020, COVID hits, right? So I moved back home because I had moved back home just for lockdown.
When you say you moved out, as in you bought your own house?
Yeah, I did. That's one of the things that this job has afforded me.
The benefit.
So, yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yes. So I am I'm back at home and I'm thinking, do you know what? I might as well just finish this course. So put all my time and effort in, and I think literally maybe within a month and a half, I finished it. Oh, great. So now what? I remember talking to my brother. My brother was like, just go and do an MBA. You always said, when I graduated from uni, I remember an auntie being like, oh, you're going to do your master's next. I was thinking, don't you remember this just took me 5 years? I was like to her, listen, the only master's I'm doing is an MBA. At that point, I knew I enjoy like the world of business and learning. I just think it's really like vast and there's so much to learn from and to apply it to. So I was like, yeah, okay. Do you know what I'm going to do then? My brother's name. I'm going to reach out to that recruiter that I spoke to. So I call him up, I speak to him. I'm like, so now, I've done this other qualification. He's like, yeah, that's great. So you still need to either do the CFA, do this become a chartered accountant, or do an MBA. I was like, this is it then, isn't it? It's twice in a day. So because I had just finished that online course, I was like, I know now there is this thing of like an online MBA. Let me look into it. So I did.
During the pandemic, right?
In the middle of a pandemic. I decided overnight I'm going to go back to uni. So I literally started applying, having calls with all the sort of recruiters at universities, understanding the recruitment process, what I need. Do I need to do a GMAT? Do I not?
What's a GMAT?
I think General Management Admissions Test or something. So it's a test you would generally have to do before being accepted upon an MBA program. They give you a score. Luckily for me, once again, I knew that I wanted to stay in London. So I had narrowed down my search and I knew that I wanted to sort of go into private equity. So I was looking at which ones had really good courses, and the uni that I ended up on, which would have been my first choice, they had a private equity module, and it was on campus, which means that I'd actually really get to learn from and then sort of meet my other, what do they call them, colleagues?
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, okay, cool, I'm going to apply. So I've gone through this whole application process. Shout out to my brother, my friends who were like my sounding board and helped me edit stuff. I hadn't written like anything formal in a very long time. And yeah, I got in and I got a slight an award, so which means that the financial sort of
aid.
Yes.
But no, it's not. But it's like a bursary, right? You have to pay it.
Yes, it was almost like an award. So they took some money off my fees because
So when do you finish your MBA?
Next year. So come Monday, I will have finished my first year. So
excellent, congratulations.
Yeah.
So obviously the journey has been exciting. It's been challenging. You've obviously, I guess the main themes I'm hearing is on the journey you've been able to find yourself.
Definitely.
So in you finding yourself, you've been able to say, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do that, as opposed to kind of just working.
Yeah.
So you now have that balance. And now you've obviously decided on the private equity route, subject you finish your MBA. Private equity, maybe
no.
not.
So as life would have it, when I've got accepted into university, I'm like, okay, cool, head screwed on. I know why I'm doing this now. And that means that I'm going to do really well because it's the problem that I had before. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I'm speaking to a friend. She's like, oh, gosh, she's an entrepreneur herself. And she's like, oh, something just came up in one of the groups that I'm in. There's this thing called like Future VC and it's about venture capital. And I know it's not private equity, but I think they're like related. So why don't you have a look? And I applied, got on, and I realized this is where I'm supposed to be. It's like the earlier stage. You're actually really investing in people and helping them with their ideas and scale their businesses. So decided that was the route I was going to go down. And yeah, everything is ticking along nicely.
Nice.
Put it
So in
that
the
way.
next 10 years, we should see you in all these magazines saying, yeah, I was the first investor in this company and now they're worth X billion.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That'd be me.
Looking forward to it. So what is other? So that's one side of things.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not all you do. So what other things are you working on in the pipeline that we can get excited about?
So, I've always got this love for fashion, and I'm really happy I've gotten to a point now where I've realized I used to sort of think that, they say this thing of, oh, do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think it's great and it's true. And for those people that are able to combine the two and at their day job or what they do, for the majority of their time, is able to pay them and they love it, I think they're really fortunate. But I think that for the majority of people, actually, they're separate.
Yeah.
You do one thing to make you money, and then you do something else to keep you happy. And I think it's trying to get that money part to be automated so that you don't have to work for the money. And that's where I am right now. So I'm doing pretty well. So, and I'm trying to put that money now into something that really makes me happy. And whether or not it pays me or it doesn't, this is my gift to the world, because this is what I love and it makes me really happy. So I'm working on something fashion related again. So I've taken the same name that I had before, seems dear to me and still relevant. And I'm working on some stuff.
Excellent. Fantastic. But yeah, thanks very much for obviously sharing your story, telling the world of all the stuff you're doing. You're doing amazing stuff. So we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll definitely look forward to what's coming next.
Thank you.
Coolios.
For